What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for Vinland Saga Season 2. This is episode 17, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah, so, wow. I mean, that had to be one of the best episodes, pretty much for this season, I guess.
Definitely one of the most emotionally heavy episodes of the season, and I mean, for obvious reasons. But it was also pretty cool to see Thorfinn fight again, and to see that, especially like utilizing what he knows into his pacifist ideology now, where he's not trying to kill anybody. He's just trying to defend himself for the most part and avoid attacks, but also like trying to incapacitate them.
Yeah, I mean, considering the amount of years that Thorfinn hasn't even fought in a real battle, I mean, he still managed to hold his own quite well, even without using a weapon.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this fight scene after I, reading in the manga, and I think they definitely did it justice here.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the fight between Snake and Thorfinn was pretty well done. I'm surprised Einar didn't even show up, pretty much the entirety of that episode. I mean, well, for obviously he was mainly trying to distract Snake and the others, but I guess we don't know what happened to him in this episode. But
presumably he's being chased by Snake's men, or like you said, yeah, he got caught.
Yeah. So during the battle between Snake and Thorfinn, they both question each other to themselves, like why, Thorfinn questions like why someone as skilled as Snake is working at a farm, and also Snake is questioning like why a slave like Thorfinn is good at fighting. So they continue trying to land hits on each other. I mean, Thorfinn manages to nearly get a couple good shots before Snake is able to slash him on the right side of his face, until pretty much the fight ends when Snake manages to maneuver around Thorfinn to the point where he gets next to the cart where Gardar is.
Yeah, and of course ends up dealing what pretty much ends up being the killing blow to Gardar. Like he stabs Gardar, but I mean, before he stabs him, he pretty much says that Thorfinn and Arnheid are going to be punished for what they've done, etc. But and then he ends up stabbing before Thorfinn can get to him. But surprisingly, Gardar still somehow manages to get up from that and strangle Snake nearly to death. But Gardar, I guess, isn't fully in control. Like, he's just kind of, I don't know. It seems like he's just kind of reacting or something. I'm not exactly sure. I think his injuries has made him like delirious or something like that. But
I think it has more to do with him reacting to Snake saying that Arnheid is about to be punished for her actions.
Yeah,
so
probably.
that likely could have triggered a reaction for Gardar to I guess to defend his wife in some ways. So like you said, he pops up and then like nearly strangles Snake to death, and Thorfinn tries every possible way to try to get him off, but he realizes that he's too strong to get him loose. And of course, Gardar manages to stop once Arnheid calms him down, and pretty much she convinces Gardar that they should leave the farm and then reunite with their son. Well, for obvious reasons, she's pretty much lying to him, just basically to calm him down.
Yeah, and Gardar asks Thorfinn, of course, like if this is his cart, and Sverkel tells him that it's his cart, but they could have it. And the two of them pretty much use the cart to get away, and you can tell like Gardar, of course, he's going to eventually succumb to his to his injury. It didn't immediately kill him, but it eventually is going to kill him.
Yeah, eventually, it pretty much gets to the most depressing part, and near the end of this episode, in which we see both Gardar and Arnheid just I guess in a way, reminisce in the past and thinking about how old their son is. With with Gardar, like he doesn't even know like how long he's been a slave for that amount of time until Arnheid tells him that their son is likely to be 60 years old at that point.
Yeah, because he believes that their son is probably 8. But we also see like a fairly lengthy I guess series of flashbacks of Arnheid and Gardar trying to raise their son, or their son being born, and them just trying to raise their son, and him just kind of regretting in a way like what he did to kind of lead him to where he is now. Like we see him like trying to stop himself from leaving to go off to war, which made him a slave in the first place.
Yeah, and we see his his time as a slave being, I guess, basically just being nearly tortured at several occasions. But of course, eventually Gardar unfortunately succumbs to his wounds, and then I guess with the comfort of Arnheid by his side, he manages to, I guess, pass away, and then I guess he moves on to the afterlife to finally see his son.
Yeah, and yes, he sees his son as for what age he would actually be, because that's when he reunites with his son. Is that it's pretty depressing. Like the only way he'd be able to reunite with his son is in the afterlife, and I mean we don't even know what is actually in reality, like what even happened to their son. I guess we should kind of assume the worst as to what might have happened to him. But it's just, like I said, really depressing that that's the only way that the Gardar is able to really see his son again. Then of course, yeah, he dies in Arnheid's arms, and we kind of cut back to the reality of the situation where they're on this card, and then they're the guests or the slave masters start to approach them, and we can only imagine what kind of punishment that Arnheid is going to face for what she's done. So yeah, it's I guess you'd say it's somewhat of a bittersweet ending, because they did get to be together in the end. Of course, Gardar, I think most people would have assumed that he probably was going to die, but Gardar dies, but at least they were, like, I guess in his final moments, he was together with his wife. But at the same time, it's not really going to be good. Probably not going to be a good outcome for Arnheid because of what she did to assist Gardar in trying to escape.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we can tell what's going to happen based on the preview of the next episode.
Yeah. Obviously,
Thorfinn and Einar are also going to be, tied up and potentially punished as well. But we also see Kettle returning to the farm after what happened during his trip to see Canute.
It is going to be really interesting to see how Kettle reacts to all of this, because of course he was not on the farm when all this happened. So as we know, Kettle is usually fairly reasonable and calm. So I have to wonder if this is going to like bring something out of him, if he's going to be like just really angry about all of what transpired on the farm when he was gone. Especially with what Arnheid did.
Well, not to mention the fact that his whole future on the farm is completely ruined, thanks to his son. I mean, with Canute on his way to basically invade the farm, there's he's basically potentially going to have nothing at this, pretty much sooner or later.
Yeah. But yeah, a really good episode, just a really depressing episode though. I mean, again, I guess it's, really it's not too surprising what ends up happening with Gardar. But I feel like it's fitting. It's probably the most logical outcome when you think about it. but still just pretty depressing nonetheless. But I don't really have anything else to say about it, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it was one of the best episodes I've seen in the second season of Vinland Saga. I mean, definitely the first part of it was pretty good between the fight between Snake and Thorfinn, but definitely the highlight of this is, Gardar and Arnheid being together at their last moments together, and Gardar at least being at peace with himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that it's possible that some of the episodes later on could surpass this one, though, just because of what happens in them. But this was, season 2 has had just a lot of really good, memorable episodes, and that's because, like, it's adapting some of the best parts, I would say, from the manga. Not to say it doesn't get good later, because it does, but this is really a point in the story where we see Thorfinn just, really change as a character and really develop in interesting ways. And some of those episodes were some of my favorites, where we, see him confront his past and his demons and try to move on from them and become sort of like a different person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see what's going to happen, to the rest of the cast, seeing as, like, well, not to mention, like, dealing with two fronts, like the fallout from the Gardar incident, and not to mention the whole thing with Canute on his way.
Yeah, it seems like the next episode is more so, I'm guessing, going to be dealing with the fallout from what happened with Gardar, and then we'll probably move into the conflict with Canute. I'm guessing they're probably saving that for around the end of this season, which we're getting fairly close to at this point.
Yeah. I definitely can't wait for next week. So, we'll have to wait and see what happens.
So that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.